Hi, and welcome back to Mr. Hipp's Chemistry 1 Beginning of the Year class information. Today we'll be going over INFO6, so have INFO6 handout packet with you. Today we're discussing the mastery approach to chemistry. After completing this video and reading over INFO6, the homework will be INFO7, questions. First and foremost, one thing Chem 1 students need to understand is that chemistry is a class where the things and concepts and ideas that we learn in the beginning of the year are used all year long. For that reason, it's vital for your success to do your best to understand everything as we go, because the ideas will be used later. And if you don't understand it, then it'll just lead to further and further confusion, which snowballs. For that reason, in Chem 1, we use what is called the mastery approach to learning. The mastery approach to learning affords students an opportunity to retake tests. And when you retake the test, you'll have a chance to go back to figure out what you did wrong, to relearn concepts that you might have been confused on, so that you can attain a higher grade, and with that, a better understanding. The mastery approach requires that you keep trying until you get it, because the secret to chem is try. By learning to the best of your ability, you'll come away with a greater understanding of this class. Many students often feel like, well, I'm never going to take science in college, so why do I have to learn science now if I'm not going to take it in college? Well, the chances are at most universities you will have to take a science class, very often as electives and so forth, to supplement your learning as part of your general education. So by doing very well in chemistry in high school, it would be a great opportunity for you to use that knowledge on the collegiate level, even if you're not going into chemistry. When we're working with the mastery approach, you'll have a chance to retake tests. You only get one try on the retake, and all the retake processes take place outside of class time. We will not do the retakes in class or anything like that. So I'm going to ask you to do this on your own time, outside the ordinary school day. Not during advisory and not during study halls. It's going to be before and very often after school. To retake a unit test, you only get one try at it. In order to retake the test, you'll have to go to a study session before you retake it. Those study sessions are sometimes called post-test recap sessions. So you'll go to a study session or a recap where we go over every question on the test, and then a day later, you'll actually come in and retake it. It's important for students to understand that when you retake the test, the higher score stands. So if you retake the test and do not do as well on it, you get to keep the original score. However, it will impact you because you will not get as many participation points for retaking the test, as we'll soon discuss. If you're absent on the day of the original test in class, your makeup test will be on the day of the retake. So you only get one try at the test if you're absent on the day of the test. However, if you ask, I will actually give you a copy of the test that the students took in class so that you're not at a disadvantage. You'll know the exact questions that were asked. You're not required to come in for the study session or the post-test recap study session, but you can if you want to go over the questions as part of your preparation for your try on the test. As discussed, you get retake participation points for for being a part of the retake process. Each unit, there are 50 points set aside for merely participating in the retake process. Why are you getting 50 points for doing something that you should do, and that's try to improve your test score? The answer is because I'm asking you to do it outside of class time. So those 50 points are points that you are going to receive for coming in before or after school as part of the retake process. As a general guideline, if you score below an 83%, you will be expected to retake the test. If you get higher than an 83%, you will not be required to retake the test. And that's as a general rule. The actual percent that you need will be sort of based on what particular test we're talking about. So that 83% is just a general guideline. If you score higher than an 83% and you want to retake the test, you're certainly allowed to. However, if you score below an 83%, you are expected to retake the test. If you don't retake the test, you'll lose those 50 retake participation points. As mentioned, you have to attend what's called a post-test recap study session, sometimes just shortened to study session. Those will take place at 7 a.m. in the morning. It's usually 2 days after the in-class test. So about 2 days after the test, all the students that are retaking it or anybody that wants to come in to merely go over the test, you'll show up at 7 a.m. and we'll go over the test questions. We do not go over tests during class time. So you might get an 87% on the test and want to know what you missed. Well, that will be discussed before school at 7 a.m. during the post-test recap study session. Once again, if you are electing to retake the test and you achieve the score that was required, an 83% or higher, you do not have to go to the study session if you do not want to. The only students that are required to attend the study session are those that scored below an 83%. Keep in mind that the retake test will look very, very close to the original test. So you'll get your original test back in class. We'll go over it during the study session, and then you'll be able to take home the original test and study it. In that way, you should be fully prepared to improve your score when you come in. When you come in for the retake test, you will turn in the initial test or the original test that you turned in class as your ticket to retake the test. Attendance will be taken during the post-test recap study sessions. So if you do not show up to the retake study session, you will not be permitted to retake the test. If you have a conflict with attending the study session or for doing the retake test, you'll need to communicate with the teacher to set up a time where you'll be able to come in. We'll make every effort to make this work for you, but it will require that you communicate with me so that we can make it work for you. Occasionally, students will be asked to do a further review. This would be on a very special case. If you're asked to do additional review, that will be something that will be required, and you'll have to do your best on it. And that will be in very special cases. If you know that you're hoping to not have to retake every test, I encourage you to make great use of the review packet, which is essentially a practice test. If you study that practice test, the review, very, very diligently, you most likely will not have to retake the test, because the original in-class test is very similar to the review packet. So if you listen as we go over the review packet, you should be in good shape. Occasionally, we'll even offer what is called a test premiere. On the morning of some tests, we'll actually go over the exact test in class beginning at 7 a.m. So if you're unsure of yourself or you just want some additional opportunity to look at the exact kind of questions that are on the test, show up for the test premiere. It's not required. There's no bonus points for attending. The bonus points will be in getting a great grade on the unit test. Do not use the test premiere as your sole means for preparing for the test. The test premieres work best for students that study at home, and then they just come in and gain confidence by looking at the actual test. Also, I highly encourage you to get help early and often. You're turning homework in the morning. A major reason that homework's turned in the morning is I will be available to go over any of the homework that you have trouble with. So ask lots of questions in class, ask questions before school, and if you need special help, make an appointment and I'll even stay after school. As much as you need help, I'll be there for you. Once again, the mastery approach, retaking tests for chemistry is an expectation. You get 50 points for doing it. The 50 points are allocated for attending the study session as well as retaking the test. All or none. You must be at the study session and retake the test to get those 50 points. Each unit, there are also 50 points for doing all your homework and for turning in the homework before school and keeping the homework in your binder. So every unit, there's 100 participation points. 50 for turning in the homework, doing every homework assignment and keeping it in your binder, and 50 for retaking the test. You don't automatically get all 50 for retaking the test. You get all 50 if you improve your score. If you do not improve your score on the test, whatever percent you get on the retake is the percentage of retake points you get. So for instance, if you get a 75% on the original test, you'll be asked to retake it. If you only get a 70% on the retake, then you would only get 70% of those 50 retake points, which would be 35 points. Generally, most students that attend the study session and actually look over the test carefully improve their score. Some students improve it dramatically. Generally, there are 3 tests that you will be unable to retake, where retakes will not be permitted. Quite often, the last test of the quarter, the last unit test of the quarter, there's not enough time to retake it. So the last test of the quarter, you'll need to be ready for. As we mentioned earlier, there's a quarters exam at the end of every quarter. In general, you cannot retake the quarters exam. And then, of course, semester exams may not be retaken. It's quite possible that in quarters 2 and 4, I will allow you to use your semester exam as a retake for your quarters exam. So there is a possibility that you can retake the quarters exam by taking the semester exam in quarter 2 and 4. Good luck, and take advantage of the retake process.